Have you ever been underestimated? Judged before you even had a chance to speak? Well, get ready for a story about a woman who faced just that, in one of the toughest environments imaginable. This isn't just a tale of military life. It's about earning respect when no one thinks you deserve it. Our story begins with Lieutenant Alice Reynolds, fresh out of officer candidate school. She was sharp, determined, and ready to serve. But her first assignment was a trial by fire. She was posted to a naval base that was also home to an elite Navy SEAL team. These guys were the best of the best, legends in their own right, and they knew it. Alice, on the other hand, was new. She wore a crisp uniform and shiny new rank with pride. But to the seasoned SEALs, she was just another officer who had ended in the mud and grit of real-world operations. They saw the rank, not the person. The tension came to a head in the base's mess hall. It was a place where hierarchies were usually respected, but an unspoken one often took precedence. The one between combat veterans and everyone else. Alice was getting her lunch when she crossed paths with a mountain of a man. Chief Petty Officer Stone Jackson, a veteran SEAL with a reputation as hard as his nickname. Stone looked at Alice's lieutenant bars, then looked her up and down with a smirk. In front of his chuckling teammates, he said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Well, look what we have here." Another shiny new officer. "Mom, you know the only difference between you and a second lieutenant in the Army? They've been to war." The mess hall went quiet. All eyes were on Alice. It was a direct, public challenge to her authority and her right to be there. Her heart pounded. She could feel the stares, the judgment, the expectation that she would either crumble or lash out. This was a classic intimidation tactic, designed to put her in her place. For a moment, she just stood there, holding her tray. Her mind raced. She could pull rank, report him for insubordination, or get into a shouting match. But she knew that any of those reactions would be exactly what he expected. It would confirm his bias, that she was just an officer who relied on her rank because she had nothing else. Instead, Alice took a slow, deliberate breath. She looked Stone directly in the eyes, her gaze steady and unwavering. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't show anger. She just held his stare until the smirk on his face started to fade, replaced by a flicker of confusion. The silence stretched on, becoming more uncomfortable for him than for her. Then she finally spoke, her voice calm and clear, cutting through the tense quiet of the room. "Chief," she began, her tone respectful but firm, "you're absolutely right. I haven't been to war." Stone seemed taken aback. This wasn't the response he was expecting. His buddies stopped chuckling. Alice continued, her voice gaining strength with every word. "I haven't been through what you and your men have been through. I haven't faced the things you've faced, and for that, you have my deepest and most sincere respect. The sacrifices you've made allow people like me to serve in our own way." She paused, letting that sink in. She was acknowledging his experience, validating his sacrifice. It was a brilliant move, completely disarming him. But she wasn't finished. "But let me be clear about something," she went on, her tone shifting from respectful to commanding. "This rank on my collar wasn't given to me. I earned it. I earned it through sleepless nights studying naval strategy. I earned it by pushing my body and mind to their limits in officer training. I earned it by committing myself to leading and taking care of the sailors who will one day be under my command. My job isn't to be you. My job is to support you, to make sure you have the logistics, the intelligence, and the leadership you need to do your job safely and effectively." Now, everyone was leaning in, hanging on her every word. She took a step closer to Stone, her presence filling the space between them. "You see this rank as something I haven't earned in combat," she said, her voice dropping slightly but losing none of its power. "I see it as a promise to every sailor, every SEAL, every person on this base, that I will work tirelessly to be worthy of the trust placed in me. A promise that when you're out there, facing the enemy, you won't have to worry if your support chain is solid. Because I'll be here, doing my job, so you can do yours." She held his gaze for a final, long moment. "So no, Chief, I haven't been to war. But my war is making sure you come back from yours. Do we have an understanding?" The mess hall was absolutely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Stone just stood there, speechless, his face which had been a mask of arrogant mockery just moments before, was now completely unreadable. He had tried to humiliate her, to put her in a box, but she had refused to get in. Instead, she had built a bridge, defining her role not in opposition to his, but in support of it. She showed him that respect wasn't a zero-sum game. Slowly, deliberately, Chief Stone Jackson straightened up. The hard look on his face softened into something else. Respect. He brought his heels together and gave a sharp, formal nod. "Yes, ma'am," he said, his voice quiet but clear. "We have an understanding." Loud and clear. He then stepped aside, clearing her path. As Alice walked away, the whispers that followed her were no longer mocking. They were murmurs of awe and respect. In those few minutes, she had done more than just win an argument. She had won over the toughest crowd on the base. She hadn't just defended her rank. She had defined her leadership. The story of what happened in the mess hall spread like wildfire. The dynamic on the base shifted. The SEALs still had their swagger, but when they saw Lieutenant Reynolds, there was a new look in their eyes. It was a look of acknowledgement, of respect. Stone, in particular, became one of her most steadfast allies. He saw firsthand that her leadership wasn't about authority, but about responsibility. Alice went on to have a distinguished career, proving time and again that leadership comes in many forms. Her story became a quiet legend, a lesson taught to new officers about how to lead with grace, intelligence, and unshakable inner strength. It's a powerful reminder that respect isn't demanded, it's earned. And sometimes, the most powerful weapon isn't a gun or a fist, but Welch's and words and the courage to stand your ground. What do you think? Have you ever had to prove yourself against someone's prejudice? Let me know your story in the comments below. It's inspiring to see how people handle these moments. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next video.